All right. Item number 8, water system audit and development of water loss control program. Diana Langley.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So this item before you is a contract with WSO for the preparation of a water loss control program. So what is a water loss control, or what is water loss? Water loss is treated drinking water that has entered the distribution system but cannot be accounted for through our accounting system. So in other words, the meters aren't registering it. So for reference purposes, the city's 12-month rolling average is 13.8%. There was a study done by the EPA where they found that the average loss for water systems is approximately 16%. I would say in the Sacramento region, it's probably, if it's Roseville, it's under 10%. Other agencies are probably hovering around the 10% mark. Reasons for water loss. Water transmission line leaks, unauthorized consumption, inaccurate water meters, water used from fire hydrants for firefighting and cleaning of sewer lines, flushing of water lines, and calculation or data handling errors. A water loss control program, the elements include a system input volume validation, so what are you actually putting into the distribution system? A consumption volume validation, what's actually being registered by the meters. An apparent loss determination, so you're going through evaluating your losses, how they're occurring. An AWWA water balance. A component analysis of real losses, so that's looking at your pipeline system. And then development of a long-term water loss control program recommendations. So benefits to the city. It helps us to comply with state regulatory drivers. For instance, the Water Conservation Act of 2009, where we have to have 20% reduction by 2020. When we have a 13.8% rolling loss, and if you figure that up to about 70% of that's recoverable, that would equate to a huge amount in terms of helping to meet that 20% conservation mark. SB 1420 and AB 2067, as we update our urban water management plan, which is required in 2016, there's an element in there that requires us to address water losses within our distribution system. It also allows us to maximize our current water rights and contracts. If we're not putting the water into the system, then it's there available for us to draw from the Feather River to actually use for consumption. And then it will help us to develop a long-term program to identify and address leaks. So 2 other agencies that have used WSO to prepare a water loss control program include Folsom and Sacramento. Folsom started their water loss program in 2011. Through the first round of assessment and repairs, they were able to save 4,700 acre-feet of water. And Folsom is very similar in size in terms of the number of customers that they have and their water consumption. What they found with most of this is this was related to service line leaks. They're currently in their 3rd round of assessment and repairs, and they're continuing to find savings through the implementation of this program. The city of Sacramento is currently at a 50% reduction in losses through the implementation of the program, and they're anticipating that they'll eventually get to a 70% recovery level on their water losses. So the recommendation is to award a professional services agreement to Water System Optimization of San Francisco for water system audit and the development of a water loss control program in the amount of $117,720 plus $15,000 contingency, with the finding that's in the best interest of the city.
All right. Are there questions of staff?
Through the mayor.
Yes.
So, Diana, are losses, these are fairly continuous throughout the year, which
Yes.
would probably then tend to lean toward faulty infrastructure or leaking
So it could be
distribution?
it could be a range of things. We have some areas of town where the meters are 10 years old, and really, that's reaching the maximum life of the meters. So as part of this, we'll be going out and actually sampling and testing meters to determine their accuracy. Through the rate study that we're doing, we're proposing to put funds in there to change out all of the meters over the next 10 years and then keep funding going to have a 10-year rotational program for replacement of meters. Also, it's with the service lines and the distribution system itself. So in the older part of town, the Midtown area, as it's called, where we replaced all of the sewer lines, those water lines were also installed in the 1920s. And they're, small diameter galvanized lines. We know that there's issues within those areas. And so within the distribution system itself, we know that there are areas that we're going to have to replace the pipelines. And with that, we would be able to recover some of the losses.
So, in addition, I mean, there would be some benefit if a major distribution line was leaking. There's potential that we would have loss of infrastructure like roadway surface or things like that due to sinkholes.
Definitely.
So in finding and controlling this now, we could be saving ourselves.
Right. Yeah, they have equipment that they can connect to the water system that allows you to basically sound out leaks within the system. You can hear it through basically it's a sonar to establish where the leaks are. But we've had situations where we've lost water, not even the transmission mains, the distribution lines, and they've completely undermined the street. We had that situation on Live Oak Boulevard where we then have to go in and completely reconstruct an entire section of the roadway.
Thank you very much.
Other questions? Diana, if, and we pretty much can assume that they're going to find areas that there's leaks in the transmission lines. Then what would be the next step? How do we pay for repairing all of those leaks? And where's the cost benefit of doing that early versus later?
So that's what's great about this program is it through the water balance, you're able to identify what's the biggest bang for the buck, what should you go after first, and then what are things that from an economic standpoint just don't make sense to address. So that's why people don't get 100% recovery. It's just not economically feasible to do that. And so you focus on the areas, like with Sacramento, where they've really focused on the service lines in Folsom. In Folsom, I know they also lined a 30-inch transmission line because they found that it was leaking. So as we're moving forward with the rate study, which we'll be presenting to council within the next couple months, we're trying to program funds in there for water line replacement and then, like I said, replacement of the meters as well.
And then also, in finding these leaks in the system, it does not mean that we're going to be selling any more water. It just means that we're not have to process as much water through the system. So it's not, there's an economic benefit that we're going to sell more water because we stop those leaks.
Correct. Yeah, we're just not treating that water.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Entertain a motion on this?
Move staff's recommendation.
Second that motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further comments or discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.